Welcome in, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here, as always, by Brett Hamilton.
Hello!
And today is the first day of our rookie discussions, talking about NFL draft prospects. So this is probably going to be some of my favorite episodes thus far.
I can tell by the arm motions that you're really excited about today's episode.
No, but I mean, it combines both my love for college football and the NFL, and just puts them into one, and I love talking about it. So, I mean, that's going to be the premise of today's show: QBs, NFL draft prospects, rookie QBs, and everything like that. Before we get into the thick of the episode, I know a ton of news has come out over just free agent signings and things like that. It's been a very, very active week.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when I go through all these, it's mainly you probably know already, especially if you follow us on Twitter at the 423 Football. You've probably heard all of these by now. But this, I'm just going to go through a real quick update of where everybody sits and everything like that. So that's where we are right now. So here we go. QBs, and we'll break them down by position, and then if there's big names in particular, we'll talk a little bit. But mainly we want to get through this quickly so we can get to the premise of the show, which is rookie QBs. So here we go. Kirk Cousins signs with the Vikings. We got Case Keenum going to the Broncos. A.J. McCarron goes to the Bills. Sam Bradford goes to the Cardinals. Mike Glennon also goes to the Cardinals. Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater sign with the Jets. And Tom Savage goes to the Saints. So if you want to know all of the specific details, like how many years they signed on for, how much the contract is worth, and everything like that, you can go Google any of this. So it's pretty. I don't know. We're just giving you where the teams went because this is a fantasy show. We don't really need to break down what cap space is too much, but we're mainly talking fantasy. So out of all these QBs, obviously Kirk Cousins, that was the big signing to the Vikings. Do you think this puts them in just automatic contention for Super Bowl favorites?
Yeah, I think they were one game away last year. So I don't think that there's any reason right now to drop them any lower. Now, do I personally think that they will be as good as last year? No.
No?
No.
Yeah, I like Kirk Cousins a lot, but I really don't think Kirk Cousins is going to give you that much more than what Case Keenum did last year.
No.
And Case Keenum had a heck of a year.
Yeah, he did.
Fantastic year.
And that's my biggest thing is, Kirk Cousins, he deserves to be, the front runner of this free agent QB class because he's on the younger side. He has a lot of potential. He's a very accurate passer. He doesn't do a whole lot of things spectacular, though, similar to Case Keenum. But I don't think, he's, he got paid, and you can argue whether or not you think he's worth the contract that he got, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but for the Vikings and Kirk Cousins and fantasy,
but you have to count them as Super Bowl contenders next year unless something in the offseason happens. Because as far as I can tell, they're not getting any worse. It's just going to be a different look at the QB position.
Yeah, and I don't really.
And Dalvin Cook will be back. Which helps a lot.
Again, that Dalvin Cook being back and just their defense being so good in general, it's hard to see them using Kirk Cousins just
right,
like a team would use like Brady or Rodgers, just throwing relentlessly instead of running the football. Yeah. But anyway, Case Keenum, obviously that was Vikings getting rid of all three of their quarterbacks, Case Keenum, Bradford, and Teddy Bridgewater. Keenum's with the Broncos now. He's going to be the starter for the moment, but again, we'll talk about QBs a little more here in a minute. But you got to be thinking a lot of these teams that picked up quarterbacks in free agency are still going to be looking for guys in the draft.
Yeah, they still need a long-term solution. Case Keenum's not, in the long-term plans for the Broncos, certainly.
Yeah. All right, running backs. We got Dion Lewis going to the Titans. You got that one right.
Yes.
Nice. Carlos Hyde blows my mind by going to the Browns. It doesn't blow my mind from Carlos Hyde's perspective, but from the Browns and the 49ers. I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. Isaiah Crowell to the Jets. Jerick McKinnon goes to the Niners, fills the Carlos Hyde void, and they're saying that McKinnon's going to be the feature back. So
they're
exciting
all
there.
hype on McKinnon.
Hey,
it's good.
It's making our argument for him being our third-ranked free agent running back, ahead of Deion Lewis and even DeMarco Murray for you.
Yep.
So, I mean, if they treat him like a feature running back, I don't see why he can't perform like one.
I like him.
LeGarrette Blount goes to the Lions. Definitely, they need a running back. They've needed that for a while.
Yeah.
Patriots re-sign Rex Burkhead, and they also go out and get Jeremy Hill. And then we got Jonathan Stewart going to the Giants and Doug Martin to the Raiders. So, I mean, a lot.
Juggernaut's getting a second chance.
Yeah. Well, the Raiders also, I believe they gave Marshawn a one-year contract, so they're still saying he's going to be the feature back. But we'll just see how that works out in Oakland.
Well, you don't want to put all your eggs in Doug Martin's basket.
Or Marshawn's, for that matter. Yeah, you got to have a backup plan. Receivers, we got Allen Robinson going to the Bears. Sammy Watkins blows people's minds, goes to the Chiefs. Wasn't expecting that.
Really blew my mind.
Was not expecting that. Marquise Lee's going back to Jacksonville. Jags also get Dante Moncrief. Then we got Paul Richardson to the Redskins. Ravens get John Brown. Albert Wilson and Danny Amendola go to Miami. Love what they're doing in Miami with those guys. Definitely trying to replace Jarvis since he left. But Albert Wilson, I think he can be excellent down there in Miami. Fill that Jarvis void nice.
Yep.
And then the two big ones out of free agency, or from the receiver position, Jordy Nelson got released by the Packers and has signed with the Raiders. And Michael Crabtree was ultimately then cut, and he has signed with the Ravens. So big news there. We'll talk here a little more here in a second. And then, obviously, with Jordy Nelson going out, Jimmy Graham is signed with the Packers. That's a 3-year deal. And then Tyler Eifert goes back to the Bengals. Austin Seferian-Jenkins goes to the Jaguars. Love that for them.
I did.
Absolutely
I wasn't expecting it, but I just wasn't expecting the Jets to let him go.
Yeah. Trey Burton goes to the Bears. Cool. Not really exciting, but he'll be a...
They needed someone.
Yeah, he's going to be a big part of that offense.
Yeah.
Virgil Green to the Chargers. Definitely wasn't expecting that one.
No.
That one was weird. I mean, I don't want to talk about Virgil Green too much because he's still not gonna. He's not gonna have a prominent role.
No.
But
as of now, they still have Antonio Gates.
Well, they don't have him, so he's not. I doubt they're gonna re-sign him. So.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, and then Ed Dixon goes to Seattle, trying to replace Jimmy Graham and Luke Wilson. So that's most of the free agents. Again, we could talk defense all day long too, like Richard Sherman going to the Niners and Jason McCourty going to the Patriots and so on and so forth. But
and all the cornerbacks that went to the Eagles.
Yeah. We could go on and on about defense too, but we're gonna stick mainly offense. Again, fantasy football show. We're gonna stick with offense. So what do you think was the biggest shock thus far in fantasy? Or in free agency, sorry.
In free agency, I would say, well, I don't. You're probably leaning the same way. Jimmy Graham signing with the Packers was a big one for me.
See, I'm not shocked that Jimmy Graham signed with the Packers. I'm shocked that they released Jordy Nelson to allow that to happen.
That whole situation. I mean,
yeah.
But other than that, Carlos Hyde to the Browns, I just don't understand.
I don't either.
I just really don't understand.
Because they're still saying Saquon Barkley is in play at number 1, and you can't. I don't know. Nothing could work out there. Either they completely wasted their money on Carlos Hyde, and he's not even going to get to see the field as Saquon's there, or they're just going to have a big mess. Like I don't know, like the Bengals have had the past couple years where they have like 3 guys that have shown what they can do in the past, but they don't have a true number 1. And Carlos Hyde and Saquon Barkley can be, without a doubt, true number 1s. And it just blows my mind that the Browns would just go ahead and do that. So, I don't know. It's going to definitely shake up the mock drafts here in the next couple weeks with trades and things like that.
Yeah, that was just very, very strange to me.
Yeah. Now, which player do you think drastically improved their fantasy value?
This one's tough. It's so hard for me to judge, going into a new situation, a new team. You've seen players get all the hype whenever they move teams, like Terrell Pryor, and then they just completely fall apart, and it just doesn't work out. It's because there's so many variables that go into going into a new system. I would say, it's just tough. I'd probably say Jarrett McKinnon.
Yeah, that's
the 49ers.
that's who I had McKinnon written down. I had Jeremy Hill written down.
Yeah,
because well, McKinnon obviously, if he's going to be the feature back, definitely not.
They have said so many good things about McKinnon, and they want to use him wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see that. And Jeremy Hill, it's not going to be as much of a drastically improved like McKinnon, but I do believe. I mean, Jeremy Hill wasn't doing anything last year, nothing.
No.
And
they had a trifecta of running backs.
Yeah, and now Jeremy Hill goes to the Patriots. He's still one of the youngest running backs in the league. I think only 25 years old, and he's definitely, in my opinion, going to be their goal line back. He's going.
Oh yeah.
He's been a great running back in the past. He's had double-digit touchdowns before, and I think he's going to provide the Patriots with double-digit touchdowns again. I really like that pairing with Jeremy Hill and Rex Burkhead. I think it's going to be even more productive than Deion Lewis and Burkhead from last year. So, those are our most improved fantasy players. Now, on the flip side of that, who do you think drastically diminished their fantasy value?
There's a couple on here that I can...
There's a lot more drastically...
I mean, there's a lot.
And I do want to say, when you're looking at, diminishing fantasy value... A lot of these signings I thought were fantastic for their teams, for the teams bringing them in and the players getting paid. But the players, just in fantasy in general, their value definitely went down. So, what's the name you got?
A couple that I'm pretty confident about. Jordy Nelson going to the Raiders. I still think Jordy's a great player and wide receiver. But, you just can't replicate the chemistry that he had with Aaron Rodgers.
Understandable.
And the other one that I'm not really sure about is Allen Robinson to the Bears.
I'm glad you said that one.
Mitch Trubisky is such an unknown factor. Allen Robinson's really good. He's been good in the past. He's had the injury last year. I don't know. I just don't know what that Bears offense is going to look like.
Yeah, I know. It's an exciting move for the Bears. They get a good wide receiver, but
great
still
move for the Bears.
You can't really say that Allen Robinson is going to do what he did in 2015 or even 2016 with the Bears.
I just don't see that kind of passing efficiency coming from Mitch Trubisky and the Bears offense. But this is going to have a totally new look, and I may be wrong, and so it could surprise in the up or down direction.
Yeah, I had Isaiah Crowell and Doug Martin written down. Obviously, Crowell was a starter last year. He's going to the Jets. I really doubt he's going to be if he's even the starter, he's definitely not going to be seeing close to what the carries were last year. They still have Bilal Powell and a few other guys to take carries away from Isaiah Crowell. And Doug Martin, obviously, he didn't do much last year, but he at least was kind of in the starter role mentality there for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But what we've seen of Doug Martin in the past, it's looking a little bleak for him in the next couple of years.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all the news for free agency. We'll continue to give you updates.
That could have been the whole episode.
Honestly, we could keep going. We could keep going for hours. But yeah, that's going to be all for the news. We'll keep you posted on Twitter at the 423football. Make sure you keep watch over there. Make sure you follow us over there. Get everyone following us over there, because that's where you can get all of our information really quick. And obviously, keep listening to the show, because we'll talk even more in depth as things progress. So, you want to take over now? This is getting into the thick of it.
Whew, yeah. QB prospects. We've put our list together and come up with a ranking of the top 10. Did we put any more than the top 10? Did we do...
No, we did. No, we just did top 10, then some late round guys.
Yeah, because a caveat is once we get past the top 5, you're really looking at maybe later down the road, players that are going to be drafted in the third to fourth round and later that are going to be drafted to be backups.
Yeah,
and to learn.
Essentially,
yeah. And
we're going to talk a lot more about the top 5 than the latter 5.
Yeah, there's a lot more because these top 5 have serious or could potentially have serious fantasy impacts and in fantasy drafts and going forward. So let's get right into it. Number 1 coming in from UCLA, we got Josh Rosen. He's a 6'4", 210 quarterback with a hand size of 9.88 inches. Or is that centimeters?
No.
He's got baby hands.
He's got baby hands.
He's not the fastest runner. Yeah, he came in at 4.85. But when you go back and look at his tape, he's not necessarily quick, but he can make explosive plays given the opportunity. It's definitely not his first look, but UCLA did do some creative run design plays for him, and he produced well. So, what do you think are the biggest issues facing him coming into the draft?
Well, I do want to. I know a lot of people. I think I'm trying to think where we both had him ranked at number 1. I believe
we did. But it was like, if I could have put a tie between him and our next contender, I would have done it.
Well, our top 3, I think I moved around 50 times, and a lot of people don't even have. I mean, everyone seems to have a different number 1 at this point. But yeah, Rosen. Talking about Rosen, he's easily the best pocket passer and natural thrower in this draft, without question. Great vision and pocket presence. I know he's not the fastest guy, but he's mobile and can squirm out of the pocket.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest threat scrambling, but
no,
he's definitely got great awareness in the pocket. And another big thing, he played under center this year, and college quarterbacks usually don't do that. They usually don't get up under center, and that might be a nice transition when it comes to dropping back, doing his three-step drop and everything like that. So that's another good sign for Josh Rosen. Now, 2 issues at hand. I know a lot of people want to talk about the character. Well, that's
which is fair.
It's
we've seen it plague players throughout.
But it's weird. It's not like the character issues like you see he's getting disruptive on the sideline. He's going out and partying too much. Granted, I think he has been known to party, but he's no.
He may have dabbled.
He might dip his toes in partying. I know for a fact Josh Rosen parties, but no. But his character is people say it rubs them the wrong way sometimes, saying that he's comes from just a really wealthy family, good means. He doesn't really always focus on football 100%. He just rubs people the wrong way, it seems like.
Yeah.
And that's the character we're talking about. I don't really have a problem with that. I don't think he should have to apologize for having wealth in his family and things like that. It's not like he's going out and being like, "Yeah, I got all this money. I don't need to play football." I understand that, but just people, I guess, when they don't see that football is his number 1 concern all the time, I can see where that rubs people the wrong way. But that shouldn't knock the guy.
No.
We've seen guys come from wealth in the past and do perfectly fine. John Elway did perfectly fine. The Mannings have done perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the one issue. Character, again, not really a big problem for me.
No. He's got to interview well, and the biggest thing is, do we think that he could develop the leadership that it takes to lead an entire NFL team?
Oh yeah, I think he can. We saw it in the Texas A&M game. I think it was the first game of the season this year. Led the biggest comeback in college football history, and just made throw after throw after throw. It was all Josh Rosen. It was just the Josh Rosen show. Yep. So, I like what he can do. I think he can develop into a fine quarterback, and the durability issue, that's another thing. I'm more worried about the durability than the character.
Yeah.
He's had shoulder problems and he's had concussions.
Yeah. He's had hand issues too.
A little bit underweight, I shouldn't say. but again, shoulders scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you obviously know what Andrew Luck's been dealing with for a long time, and he doesn't have anything that serious going on. But shoulder injuries, they do develop into pretty significant injuries down the road, and you got to be careful with how many hits he's taking and stuff like that. And that's something that an NFL team will look at is, can we rely on you to play 16 games?
Oh yeah, definitely. I do believe that he's going to go in the top 5.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where, because again, people making trades. Jets just traded up into the top 6, I think.
Yeah.
And
Just
Bills are on the
pure
fringe to make some moves. So we'll have to see. I still have faith he'll go in the top 5. In my opinion, he'd be my first quarterback off the board. But we'll just have to see how that ends up. Now, when it comes to where we have pro comparisons for all these guys, so give me a pro comparison.
Well, I have them for most people.
Yeah, for Josh Rosen anyway.
Yeah. This one's kind of hard because he doesn't. I mean, you just got to think he's pretty similar to the really good pocket passers that can air it out deep. So So think Big Ben's, people like that.
Yeah. Obviously not the size of Big Ben, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
No. The best comparison it sounds disgusting and it sounds like a knock against Josh Rosen, but I'm going to say Jay Cutler because they both have really explosive arms. Both of them don't have any serious personality issues, but it's like some people really like
the wrong way.
Some people really like them, and some people really don't like them. And so, in that aspect, they kind of have similar personalities.
I like that. I haven't heard that's a good
But Jay Cutler, he has a rocket arm.
Yeah, but he's more of a gunslinger than Rosen is.
I don't think Rosen will be.
Rosen's more of a passer. I feel like he's closer to Matthew Stafford than in terms of gunslinging and passing ability than he is Cutler. Because Stafford can sling it too, but he's not Cutler where he's going to throw 20 picks a game.
Right.
So yeah, I do like that with the personality. That's very similar.
The main reason I figured because it's Jay Cutler hasn't really done a whole lot wrong. He's not in legal trouble or anything, but it's just people just look at him and they're like, you don't really care. I mean, it's obvious you don't care, and some other personality issues with working with teammates, and some people can get along with him, and some people just. I don't like him. Yeah.
I guess, do you agree he's probably going to go in the top 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on to number 2 on our list, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold from USC. A lot of people had him at number 1 as well, but
I think difficult to me.
Yeah, I think I did. I had him there for a little while.
Yeah.
And again, these top 3 guys that we're going to mention, I would have no problem if whoever take him at number 1. So...
yeah,
just let that be known. But Sam Darnold, 6'3", weighs 221, hand size 9.88. Pretty similar to Josh Rosen. I think those two are the 2 clear-cut guys in the draft. Same 40 time as Josh Rosen, 4.85. Again, not really a scrambler that much, but he's got good pocket presence and he can move around in the pocket pretty well.
Yeah, he has really good footwork.
Yeah, the only thing people are knocking Darnold for this, he didn't throw the combine for shoulder injury, but we've seen what he can do. Just go look at the tape. I don't know if they've had their pro day yet or not. I don't know if he threw there, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I need to look that up. But he impressed. He always impresses really during his interviews. He's got a really good football IQ. He checks all the boxes there. Seems to be a good leader. He just didn't have much help at USC. This 2017 year was a lot worse than the year before when he didn't even start back in the beginning of the 2016 season. So Sam Darnold, he's fresh on the scene. He really hasn't played that many games, but he's easily one of the top talents in this draft at the QB position. And yeah, he's only a sophomore, 20 years of age, so he's one of the youngest in this draft. in 2017 completed 63% of his passes for over 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. The only problem I see with Sam Darnold, like a glaring problem, because he checks all the boxes otherwise. I mean, he checks most of the boxes that Rosen does for his passing ability. Darnold's a lot more likable guy than Rosen, it seems like.
Yeah. And
the only issue with Darnold is it seems like he turns the ball over a ton.
Yeah.
And that can be really scary for a team. You'd much rather have a guy like Case Keenum in some situations who doesn't really turn the ball over that much. Maybe he's not as flashy. Maybe doesn't throw that many touchdowns, but he doesn't turn the ball over. So that's always nice. Same with like Alex Smith, just doesn't turn the ball over.
But, that was the kicker for me when I put Josh Rosen above him. That was really the only thing that glares out at me. He had I think you already said 17 interceptions in 2017. He had 11 fumbles in 2017, which is the second most for a quarterback. And the biggest thing is a lot of those fumbles come from not whenever he's scrambling and trying to run to the outside or anything like that. It's when he's taking the sack. And so that's something that they're going to have to work on wherever he goes, is securing the ball. Because, just a huge portion of the offense in the NFL is if you're turning the ball over, eventually your time's going to run out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what loses games.
Yeah, that's what, literally Deshaun Kaiser's career might be in jeopardy because of what he did last year.
Yep.
And even Nathan Peterman, he played one game and he might be screwed for the rest of his career as well.
Yeah, that's the Bills' fault though.
Yeah, but anyway, Darnold, people say he's the safest QB in this draft. I kind of agree with that just because Rosen's injuries might affect that, and Rosen might not. I don't know. He might not be able to last as long as Darnold, but I'd still rather take the risk and get a surefire, in my opinion, a surefire starter in Josh Rosen than Darnold. And I don't know about you, but seeing all these teams go out and get free agent quarterbacks and things like that, I'm starting to think that a lot of these guys, even Rosen and Darnold, might actually not be first-year starters. They might sit a year behind whoever, Eli or someone like that.
Well, you see a lot of these teams that are QB needy, they went to free agency and signed quarterbacks that can get the job done, but you really don't want them for a long-term contract.
Yeah, like Bradford and Keenum. Yeah,
exactly. So you could see someone like Rosen or Darnold or the next few come up and then not play for the 2018 season.
Yeah. Darnold, I fully expect him to go in the top 5 as well.
Yep. Update. He has not had his pro day, but the Browns coach and general manager skipped Josh Rosen and Baker Mayfield's pro day, but they are expected to attend Sam Darnold's.
Interesting. See, I wouldn't have a problem with them taking him number 1. I really wouldn't.
It's definitely a position they need to address.
Yeah, but to pro comparison, I got him compared to Andrew Luck.
Okay. I like that.
I think he's got the brains like Andrew Luck. He was obviously even Luck his first year as a freshman at Stanford. We knew what this guy could be. He's just a prototypical quarterback. He's tough, just a real hard-nosed guy, hard worker, everything like that. Checks all the boxes. IQ, that's the big thing because you can't really. It's hard to teach football IQ and teach instincts and stuff like that. But so that's where I think he's very similar to Andrew Luck, and hopefully not in the way that his shoulder's acting up. 'Cause that's why Darnold didn't throw at the combine. So maybe
hopefully not similar in that aspect.
Yeah, definitely not looking towards that.
Yeah. I've got him compared to Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers and Sam Darnold both have a very similar hitch, for lack of a better word, in their throwing motion that people talk about often. That he has kind of an unorthodox throwing motion. They've said the same thing about Phillip Rivers. Still going.
Yep.
Both are pocket passers, and Phillip Rivers is known for being accurate and having good timing and tight window accuracy. The same kind of things that Sam Darnold is revered for coming into this draft.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 3, we have got all the way from Wyoming, Josh Allen. This was good. I know you're talking about switching around the top three multiple times. This is another one that I feel like he could be better than Sam Darnold. Even I mean, it's so difficult to predict. But Josh Allen has a great arm. He can throw some deep lasers. He doesn't have to put a lot of air underneath the ball to get it to travel a long distance, which is big, especially when you're coming into the NFL with these elite cornerbacks and safeties that will get underneath the ball and pick it off multiple times. He's not super flashy, but he did get a chance to show off at the Senior Bowl, and the scouting combine went really well for him. So that's kind of got people talking about which one, where is he going to go? Is he going to be a top 5, or is he going to drop to the top 10? It just depends on who's looking at him and what they think, how it compares to the other two. But what do you see in him that's kind of separates him from Rosen and Darnold?
Well, again, like you were saying, switching these guys around. I had Allen number 1 there for a long time. I loved the fact that he had the big arm. I love that he's just a big bodied guy. He's got the biggest hands in this draft class, and that's always great for just gripping the ball. Like if he goes to a cold weather place like Buffalo or something like that, you're gonna need to grip the ball. You gotta be tough, and a lot of these like shorter, lankier guys may not be able to handle that. But Allen, I mean, what's not to love? Just a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
Again, big guy. He ran the fastest 40 out of Rosen, Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. Got a 4.75 40, which
I didn't expect that.
No, not at all. At his size, I don't want to jump to the conclusion to just make him like the next Carson Wentz, because I know a lot of people are comparing that small school. I mean, he's got a pretty big arm. He's a good size guy. He can run pretty well. But I mean that's fine. If he becomes Carson Wentz, so be it. That's great too. But I think he's more on the side of Joe Flacco. Flacco, I know a lot of people don't look at him as a mobile guy, but he's got some decent mobility. He's not a guy who's going to scramble all the time. He's more of a pocket passer, which Allen is. He doesn't scramble unless he needs to, but they both have super, super strong arms, and Flacco's known for his deep ball, one of the most accurate deep ball guys in the league. They're basically the same in my opinion. They're like there have been issues with Flacco and Josh Allen with their accuracy, throwing short and medium distances, but when they throw it deep, it's just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful.
Right. I actually had 2 written down, and one of them was Joe Flacco, so I'll go with another one. I'll say Big Ben. For the sole reason that Big Ben's known for having a monster arm.
And his size.
And his size, yeah. And when Big Ben was younger and he could run a little bit more swiftly, he could escape pressure.
Before they put buckets on his feet.
Before he got the bucket feet, yes.
Yeah.
In his earlier days, he could run. He was no Michael Vick or anything like that, but similar to Josh Allen, in terms of speed and making plays on his feet when he needs to. So I thought that was probably one of the better. But yeah, I'd say Joe Flacco is probably the best comparison for Josh Allen.
Yeah. And again, I'm not as confident he'll go in the top 5 as Rosen and Darnold, but top 10 definitely is going to happen. He will be a top 10 pick in this draft.
Yeah.
You want to do number 4?
Yes. Coming in from the Boomer Sooner State, we've got Baker Mayfield, unrelated to Mayfield Dairy, as I researched.
Wow. Thank you for that fact. Go.
My curiosity took over, and I just had to Google it. But no relation. So he's one of the more interesting characters at the QB position.
I definitely think we're going to talk about him a little bit longer.
Yeah, he's one that for a long time he was touted as like the number 1 prospect, and he's there's no one else even close to him. He has since fallen a little bit Hence why we have him ranked at number 4. But a lot of people have him ranked above Josh Allen, which, doesn't make sense to me, but that's all right. Characteristics, his height is 6 foot tall, so he's not huge. Weight 216 and hand size of 9.25. So he's a little bit on the smaller side.
Yeah, definitely.
Compared to the other ones that we've gone through. 40 time, like we said, Josh Allen beat him. So he came in at 4.84. Which I wasn't expecting. I thought he was a little bit faster than that.
I did too.
Based on the tape that I watched and the plays that he can make on his feet that I saw. But he's one of those players he has really good on-field performances, and but some issues come out when cameras are pointed at him, and we live in an age where this is a huge issue coming in, and this is an issue that a lot of NFL teams don't want to have to deal with because they're focused on winning football games. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
It's going to be one of the hardest things to predict, because you can compare him to the Johnny Manziels, and you could be 100% correct, or you could compare him to some of the other guys in the league, more like Russell Wilson or Drew Brees, and you could be correct as well. But I don't know. It's so hard to, because it seems like he's almost like bipolar with how he behaves sometimes. Like, he'll go into an interview room and be just like everyone loves me, and all the anyone interviewing him, he's like, he just nails everything. He's like spot on, great kid, doing everything right, just a competitor. But then you have him doing all this stupid, immature stuff. On and off the field. We saw him in the Kansas game where he just went berserk and lost his mind. And the crotch grab and everything like that, just no one...
NFL teams are going to love that.
That, and then the police video of him running from the cops.
That was bad.
Those two things will get you off people's draft boards just like that.
Yeah.
And it's... I know it's crazy to think that people will just straight up take him off their draft boards, but it can happen. If you don't fit a character profile for certain teams that do things the right way and do things certain ways, then you're not going to be selected. And there's only 32 teams in the NFL, and there's only so many chances you're going to get. So I don't know.
Teams don't want to invest a high draft pick with the risk of knowing, hey, you might get suspended for 4 games this season just because of some off-the-field antic that you pull. That's a huge liability for them, and he's going to have to prove to these teams that he has matured in a month or two.
That's the big thing, the maturity thing. Baker Mayfield is older than every single one of these draft prospects at the QB position.
Yeah.
Older than every single one of them. And Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen are the 2 youngest, I believe, and they show far more maturity than Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Like, they'll go into interviews and be like Baker Mayfield. Okay, I will say there is a difference between confident and arrogant and cocky. There is a big difference, and people can tell. In most situations, just the things that Baker Mayfield has said, like in interviews and things like that. Yeah. Like, he said, I'm not cocky, I'm confident. If you have to say that, then you're probably rubbing people the wrong way. He told, I think he told Kansas, or I can't remember if it was Kansas, but he said, during the game, he was like, stick to basketball and stuff like that, yelling at fans. You don't want that. And I'm trying to think. I think it was towards Kansas, but he's like, I'm going to spank you like I'm your daddy. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. What are you trying to prove?
Exactly.
Are you trying to prove that you're just super gritty? I don't know. That's not grit. That's just immaturity.
It is. You have guys like Rosen and Darnold showing much more maturity than Baker Mayfield, and that it's gonna turn people off. It hasn't really I don't know. I don't want to be the guy to jump to the conclusion that he is going to be Manziel, because I think he's a much better player than Manziel.
Yeah.
I still think he's relied on a little bit of his offense and poor defenses in his conference to really boost his draft stock and things like that. Yeah. And obviously, I mean, the story's great. Walk on to winning the Heisman, probably going to be a first-round pick. But the character on and off the field and his size in general, because people want to compare him to Russell Wilson for his size, but he is nothing even close to Russell Wilson. I'll just go ahead and tell you that.
No. I saw that comparison. I didn't like it either.
No, I don't. I guess that's like a...
Maybe just because of size.
It's a pipe dream, I think, but I have him compared to... I wrote down Manziel just because, I mean, it could happen. Yeah. It could happen. I mean, that's obviously the floor where Mayfield could end up, but I think he's more of a Dak Prescott than he is a Russell Wilson. If I was going to compare him to one guy in the NFL right now, it'd be Prescott. He's... obviously, Prescott's a little taller, but they're both kind of chunky. They can take hits and be okay, but I think he's got some issues with just being a pocket passer, and because you can't do all that scrambling stuff in the NFL unless you're like a super super good scrambler. And I don't think Mayfield. I mean, he's okay at it, but I don't think he's that great. That's where I think he's like Manziel. More than he is not in that regard.
Right. Well, if you're not going to do it, I will. I'll just compare him to Johnny Manziel.
Fair enough.
And that's not a comparison saying that he's going to end up like Johnny. This is just based on personality plus, the physical aspect of it. They both have that same kind of gritty, in-your-face personality.
Cocky is the word.
They're both showmen. He's not as much of just an all-around athlete as Johnny was in terms of like scrambling ability, but he has a better arm than Johnny Manziel. So he's got that. He's got that. It's kind of a trade-off between the athleticism, and they're both good at, and they consistently rely on the use of improv in during plays. And there's only so much of that can go on in the NFL because defenses are just really good.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're not going to, put up with you running around for...
They're getting better and better.
14 seconds and looking for a wide open wide receiver.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think that necessarily he's going to turn into just Johnny Manziel 2.0, but I mean certainly you can see the similarities,
Yeah. And back to like the cocky and arrogant thing. There's like even like what like Mayfield and Manziel like what they like how they showed their I guess character issues.
Yeah.
Like again saying I'm going to spank you and stuff like that. That even like Cam Newton doesn't rub people that way.
No.
Like Cam Newton, I mean he'll do the like Superman thing. Aaron Rodgers even does the belt thing, but they don't go out and say stuff like that.
No.
I mean Cam Newton might have some times where he just seems like relaxed and and things like I don't even care. Like after the Super Bowl, he doesn't want to talk to people. Yeah. That at least there's problems with that too. I understand.
Yeah.
But there's more confidence in a guy like even Cam Newton. And I've never been a big fan of Cam Newton, but
I certainly haven't.
Yeah. There's much more. Even he shows more confidence, I think, than cockiness or arrogance.
Right.
Because I mean, I have no problem with guys being confident and even a little bit arrogant. Because I mean, if you're going to be a starter in the National Football League, you have to be a little bit arrogant. I'm really good, but you don't.
Well, you don't come in saying you're average.
I understand that, but there's ways to do it, like Rosen and Darnold are doing, where it's mature answers, and there's answers like Mayfield is giving, where it shows immaturity, and teams might stray away from that.
Yeah. And
again, they might take him off their board. But I don't know. In my opinion, someone's going to jump on him in the top 10. And
I think so too.
There's got to be a team out there looking for him
and I think he's one of the more likely ones to go in as a backup. I don't see him being a starter in 2018.
Yeah,
unless he shows something in spring training and camps and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Number 5 on our list. We are going real slow today.
This is the last. This is the last of the top 5. We may go a little bit faster after this.
Yeah. But anyway, Lamar Jackson at number 5. I think you actually had him in front of Baker Mayfield.
I did.
Yeah, I had Mayfield in front of him, but Lamar Jackson from Louisville. Height at 6'3", weight 205, hand size 9.5. So tall, lanky guy. Again, more of a, I guess, the Michael Vick comparison, but didn't run a 40 at the combine. I think, or his reasoning behind it was everyone was asking about him being a wide receiver, and he just wanted to show that he was a quarterback. He's projected to run his 40 in probably 4.4, 4.5 range, which I mean that's good. 0.3 seconds faster than any of these, or most of these QBs.
Yeah, that's moving.
Yeah, but he had an up and down combine. Obviously, he's looked a lot better on tape through games than he did at the combine. But had a great interview in the room, recalling plays and getting his football IQ. So checks that box. Mixed workout on the field, a little bit inaccurate and poor mechanics. Doesn't really know how to drop back that well. His footwork's not the best we've seen. It's going to be a work in progress there, but he still has a super strong arm. Again, Michael Vick comparison if you want to go to that right away, but he's easily the most athletic QB in this draft and might be one of the most athletic players in general. Mm-hmm. The question is, it's just, can he transfer that running style that we've seen a lot of college quarterbacks have? Can he transfer that and his maybe some inaccuracy issues? Can he transfer that to the NFL and be one of the? I mean, he's probably going to be the top mobile quarterback in the league right off the bat if he is a starter.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, his 440 would be, or his 440. It may be a 440. I don't know.
That would be good.
But yeah, he's instantly one of the best runners at the QB position if he gets a chance to start. Like you said, it's the accuracy issue is the biggest knock on him, and that's why I was kind of going back and forth on where I wanted to put him. I just really like Lamar Jackson. I really want him to be successful. I want to see one of these running backs that have his skill set be successful. I want to see what that looks like in an offense.
Yeah.
He does have a pretty thin frame, so he might get broken. I don't know.
But I mean, he's agile enough to not get hit.
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
He's really good at avoiding contact. So that is definitely a strong point of his. For his pro comparison, you already mentioned it, Michael Vick. I mean, they both have obvious running talent. They both have strong arms. And Michael Vick went through seasons of pretty significant accuracy issues as well, which is what Lamar Jackson is plagued with going into this draft. So there's plenty of room for comparison between those two players.
Yeah, both quick guys, both really strong arms. It's going to be a work in progress just to get him going. A lot of people want to say that his inaccuracy issues at the combine were due to all the talk about him being a wide receiver and it was just too much to handle. But, I mean, that you kind of have to say that that's a knock on him, just being able to handle pressure in general, because he's going to be hearing that for a long time now. If he doesn't do well in his first couple games, he's going to be hearing that, hey, maybe it's time to switch to wide receiver at this point. So he's going to have to get used to facing the pressure. And, I mean, in my opinion, like, him and Baker Mayfield are pretty darn close to each other in floor and ceiling. I think it's a wide margin.
That's very true.
Both Heisman winners. We got 2 Heisman winners on this list. So, I mean, I like the Vic comparison, but Tyrod Taylor, you got to, if you're thinking of a player now, Tyrod Taylor is probably a good comparison as well. Jackson's faster than him. He's more agile than him. He's taller than him. He's got a better arm than him. It's just whether he can really transfer all that to the NFL and handle the pressure. Because Tyrod sat behind Joe Flacco for a couple years, and Lamar Jackson might have to do the same somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's the biggest question that we'll hopefully find answers to is his skill set ready to be transferred to the NFL? And if he can't get his accuracy under control, then the answer is going to be no.
Yeah. All right. I got a proposal.
Oh, yeah?
We are running real late on time. We're at the 50-minute mark already.
That's all right.
So either we can go through these really, really fast, or we can cut this one off right now, and we'll do a part 2 that we'll release later this week. It'll be a lot shorter than this one.
Yeah. Let's, we can do a part 2. That'll be okay.
All right. Okay. So that's going to be I guess we did the top 5 today. We'll do our 6 through 10 on our next episode, and we'll also talk about some late round guys, some fantasy impacts that a lot of these guys will have. Just to go through again, at number 1, we had Josh Rosen from UCLA. Then we had Sam Darnold. Then Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson.
Aw.
Yeah.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner. For a guy who's not a big fan of Baker Mayfield, you just love saying Boomer Sooner.
I love that Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner. But yeah, so that's our top 5. Again, that's Rosen, Darnold, Allen, Mayfield, and Jackson. I think we all have them going in the first round at the moment. Jackson, no, I won't even say it. He's going to go in the first round.
Yeah.
I think
just based on his athleticism, some team is going to take that chance.
Yeah, someone's going to like that quite a bit. So we'll be back either tomorrow or Wednesday or whatever. We'll let you know with our part 2 of this episode. Again, we might end up doing part 2s to all of our rookie talks because there's so much to go through.
Yeah,
and hopefully we won't have to go through an onslaught of free agency news in the next couple weeks as well. So yeah, that's all for today. To make sure you're up to date on everything, follow us on Twitter at the423football. We'll have everything you need to know over there. We'll give you updates on free agency. We'll give you some draft content. And if you want to find out when we are releasing our part 2 of our quarterback episode, definitely make sure you're following us on there. So yeah, at the 423football on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Leave a comment and review on iTunes. Give us a like, everything like that. Make sure you're sharing us with everyone you know as well. So thank you. We are the 423 Football Podcast.
Peace.